Well, good evening. I'm your host, Robert Wilson with Cowboy Wisdom Podcast. And tonight, we're talking about 7 reasons why people are free-flowing energy. And as you start thinking and knowing your way through life, you have blockages and just little imprisonment. And if you set boundaries along with thinking and knowing, you're setting new fears and boundaries. So today, we let the free-flowing energy open the way for us to rise out of our past, because the past is gossip. Once the events and experiences occur, that's when it happens. But we start embellishing the story because we want to make it sound like, oh my God, look what happened to me. I almost got run over by a ton bull, a semi, and all this. And we embellish the story so it makes the story gossip. So if you really want to open up to something, open up to understand. Break everything into 10 to 12 words so you stay inside whatever that is. So you don't embellish the story and make it bigger. Then it becomes a subconscious imprint, and that becomes a comfort zone. And that's what the comfort zone is, a cloning of our past, basically. And as I open up to understand, people realize and admit they encompass keen-witted, sovereign, savvy, liberate themselves from their insecurities, immaturity, world, greedy, third world enslaving mindsets. See, the world is run on money, and we have all this greedy mindsets. We forget people are the assets and the flowing energy of the world. And we'll never rise out of the past with greedy and seedy mindsets, with an enslaving mindset. But we've had enslaving mindsets since the beginning of time. We've just refined it and brought it forward. As the enslaving mindsets with indoctrinated education keeps us blocked in what other people want us to know, think, and do. As I awaken to this, I open up to my sovereign realization, energizes innovative liberation, shows me and the people the ways to rise out of our insecurities, immaturity, to awaken to our sovereign energy, to expand, energize, enterprise, and appreciate ourselves. And if you look at the world today, we live in a very selfish world. Of course, I'm not selfish. That's a fallacy. That is a flat-out lie to myself. We're selfish, and we try to live inside the selfishness. We're afraid to show the world our talents of liberation and sovereign, adventurous talents to awaken the world to understand sovereign inspirations, dismantle the limitations, allowing individuals to challenge oppressive systems like the government. There's a lot of oppressive systems out there, but the egotistical arrogance and the know-it-all ignorance of all of us, all people today, stops us from moving forward. And there is a barrier between the college-educated arrogance and the autodidact entrepreneurs. The difference between college education is that it's all book knowledge, and the know-it-all ignorance is all book knowledge. And as we rise out of the book knowledge to understand, we encompass an autodidact entrepreneur talent. An autodidact is sovereign educated or sovereign enlightened. The more we open up to the sovereign enlightenment within us, the more liberated internal gumption, hellraiser's tenacity, appreciating life. As my inner autonomy inspires action, enables me and you to lead with confidence and foster progress beyond the indoctrinated norms of education and ancestor enslaving mindsets and third world programming. And that is something I had to awaken to as a third world program. And we've been stifled since we were born because everybody brought forth their ancestor indoctrinated limitations. Of course, I still have them. You know, the one thing about admitting that stuff and then laughing at it, it makes me feel good about myself. But people are the free flowing energy that will rise the world out of the limitations of today. Education and business never will because they're too they're bound up in greed and enslaving mindsets. They think the people owe them because they're in business. Business and education has this world wound and bound in poverty consciousness. And the leaders of the world, the business leaders of the world, think all the money that you and I, the autodidact entrepreneurs make in a week, that's theirs. And it's become to where the corporations think the taxpayers, the tax coffers are their bank, and it is. And you know, the thing is, if the working class did as much corrupt stuff as business as the corporations, the CEOs, and the politicians, they'd be locking us up for jail for 72 lifetimes. It's about people understanding they're the free-flowing energy of their enterprising wizardry to rise out of this indoctrinated education and third world enslaving mindsets taught to us by the business colleges. Something else I've really opened up to is innovation. If you use innovation instead of transformation or even anything, innovation is a higher frequency of foresight that colors your world with celebrations of love, optimism, realizing sovereignty is you being free of everybody. As innovation unlocks straightforward foresight, busting free of survival mode programming, energizes your imaginative pathways and your trails of triumph to stroll through life. The thing is we got all the education, we got all the businesses, but we never talk about is the free-flowing energy of people. That's your enterprising now born elegance to dance with your life. But we always think we were being taught since the beginning of time that business, politicians, and education will lead us to the promised land. The only promised land they led us to is they promise to make life hard for people. When you open up to your own trend-setting talents, you open up to experience an easier way of life because you're trusting yourself. And something else is, and when you say that's easy, that energizes appreciations, streaming the pizzazz of your heart and soul through you to the world for all to enjoy. And something else that really is, as your athletic authenticity drives fulfillment and liberates individuals to pursue unique paths of prosperity and peace, enlightenment of all their desired lifestyle, and instead of inherited limitations. That is something that statement right there, inherited limitations, that is something that I've really opened up to and discovered within myself. I encompass my parents, my ancestors, society, the school system, viewpoints, opinions, beliefs, and everything from the womb to 5 years old is my comfort zone today. Whatever your parents were, whatever you're going through is your comfort zone today. And as I opened up, admitted that to myself, I felt the liberation of me from me, my viewpoints, opinions, parents. It's about me listening for the airwaves of acumen to hearken the Hellraiser's energy, appreciating real, keen, energizing nirvana. As you listen and you hearken the undercurrent of, of wisdom, insight, and clarity of your life, you rise out of the yesterday. But we've inherited limitations all the way back to my ancestors. And, if you really pay attention and open up to admit, we still do things like our ancestors, which doesn't matter. It means in zilch, because we can rise out of it here and now. And see, that's why I say my past is gossip, because history embellishes the past. And we were taught history was important. History is here and now. To rise out of yesterday's history, you do it here and now. And that's like your past. You rise out of the past here and now. As your visions expands the scenarios of your desired lifestyle, opening your doors to abundance and innovation by challenging outdated mindsets. That's what liberation is challenging your outdated mindsets. And that's something we really are in the world is awakening to right now. You, me, and the whole world. We're starting to understand the school system, everything we learned in the past is no longer really serving us, but we're just now trying to trim away the weeds of need and all that other stuff, to be awakened and aware of the dare, to understand and admire. People are the free-flowing wealth, insight, clarity, and the energizers of the world's economy. People will energize the economy, not business. Business is a byproduct of people. And something else I really opened up to understand. We've all had this, and I've done this. I was a union electrician for 36 years, an oil field and that before. The wages of labor drives the productivity and the wealth of the world. It isn't business, because business, they share as little bit with the world as they can. They'll put billions in the bank, but they'll never share it in wages. But that's also, we've been trained ourselves to never ask for it. And sometimes what I experienced the last few years, I can see why they're not open to it. But there's a lot of greedy selfishness in the CEOs of the world. They just had the CEO of Boeing on up in front of Congress, and the congressman out of Missouri kind of explained things to him. Here's a guy making $45 million a year, I believe it was, and he gave his all the Boeing engineers 1 or 2% raise over 5 years. We stopped respecting the labor of our people, of the country. We look at labor just like the czars looked at labor. We have the same third world enslaving mindset as the czars and all the people, the tyrants of the world. We look at people as a pawn, which we are, and we're used as pawns if you really want to look at it. But here's the thing. If you're an hourly worker or labor and you work for a paycheck, you are the backbone of this country. Who would you rather trust? The working people or a CEO if you had to go into challenges? And that's something that a lot of people have never really done. Is I look at the world and I look at when we go, like when we went to Iraq, did they call the CEOs? No, the CEOs lined up to see how they could make money. They called on the middle class working people of the world, of this country, to go fight the war. And then what was really funny to me is during that Iraq war, war is good. War is good. You got to go. But there was a gentleman that was a national talk show host. He was 23 or 4 years old. He said, "Yeah, them guys got to go there," but he didn't have the guts to put his name on the line. So he's a chicken shit as far as I'm concerned. All these guys talk about the war. Now the people are coming back injured, and some of them are maimed for life. You don't see them big talkers doing anything there. And a lot of them are making millions and millions of dollars. So I shut off all talk shows because they talk, but they never walk their talk. And that's the trouble. This country talks, and nobody walks their talk. Am I guilty? Hell yes, I'm guilty. But the world will never run without the autodidact entrepreneurs. That's all the working class is, are autodidact entrepreneurs. And a lot of times people don't understand. To work with your hands takes a talent. To work on a computer, all you got to do is think. But you have to have zero craftsman ability. It's the craftsmen of the world that built this country, and that's the free-flowing energy of people. The autodidact craftsmen of the world built the world. I should say craftswoman and craftsmen built the world, as those that got that fine college medication destroyed the world through their greedy, seedy, third world enslaving mindsets. We got to start explaining to the world that we understand what is going on. And it's just like you take World War II. Eisenhower was getting credit for winning the war, which he did a hell of a job. But when they're out there in them battlefields, that comes to the person, to the military men and women using their autodidact audacity to win the war. See, people that aren't college educated are autodidact, and that's a sovereign, enlightened person. And those that have the education usually destroy the country. We've become highly educated since back in the 60s. And look how we went from a handshake being a business deal to where you have to have 300 pages of a contract and 7,000 lawyers to do anything. So how is all this modernization destroyed the free-flowing energy of people? Because people think that little degree on the wall or that little business license gives them a right. It activates their arrogance, but it also shows their ignorance. People are the free-flowing energy, the wisdom, insight, clarity, innovation, motivation, the spirit, prowess, intuition, imagination. That's the free-flowing energy of the world. And something a lot of management don't understand. There is a lot of innovative talent, and there's a lot of innovations that go on in the daily experience on a job, like electricians and plumbers and pipe fitters. There's a lot of innovative wizardry goes on that the management has zero clue that's going on. And something else, without the craftsmen, this world will go down. See, here's the thing. All the coaches, the speakers, writers, CEOs, management, all think the world functions is about them. Well, here's the biggest blemish in that. If you send all the life coaches, the business coaches, marketers, CEOs, higher management home for 30 days, would this world still function? There'd be challenges, but yes. But now you send home all the craftsmen, the electricians, the plumbers, pipe fitters, the grocery store clerks, the nurses, the hospital staff. How's the world going? See, what the people don't understand is that they are the free-flowing energy of this world. And what's probably, I witnessed this in the union, and I'm just going to say it. I watched people out in the field that were decent people If they got elected or put in the office, they become the most brain dead people in the world. All they could see is lining them paychecks up, and they never did. Very few of them did anything for the people. And then once they got to the IO, they become total waste of time. And that's the thing about this world. It has zero leadership in it. The leader in your life is the person you see in the mirror. As the earnings of the autodidact entrepreneurs or the hourly workers stimulate growth, and the spending power of business comes from the people that work for them. The business is afraid to pay for their own stability. But however, they ain't afraid to call that congressman and get a campaign contribution to get legislation. Some of them congressmen now, they're making some hellacious money on what used to be illegal. The only thing illegal in the United States anymore is if you're not making money on it. From the politicians to the CEOs, if they had to live but they get to live on their crooked ways and make a lot of money. But if any of them guys had to live on their integrity, they'd all be broke living on the streets. And as I open up to this, oh yeah, something else. All the enemies you feel are in the world are within you, or they're within me. You got to address your own inner enemies to move forward. But really, it comes down to people understanding their wisdom, insight, and clarity is free-flowing energy. And their innovative talents and their fashion designer daredevilry will lead them anywhere. And see, the thing is, if we've been taught since I was in school, business and education will take us everywhere. It's taken us to beware of the people teaching education, because the college professors and the teachers, we're all ingrained and trained that education and business. And all education and business did is steal the dreams of this country and the world. And if you really look and get honest with things, you are still encompass the skills to experience your desired life. You know, our own fears create the stress and anxiety in our lives, and we're being judged and misunderstood, afraid of our uniqueness. If people would open up and understand their sleek, unique talents that are beyond the mainstream of America and of the world, we would really open up to the peace and prosperity within ourselves. See, and the thing about what we have going on there, social conditioning stifles expression of inspiration because we're afraid of people will laugh at us. So we end up staying inside our insecurities and immaturities. But as I rise of my energized energies, I dissolve societal norms, never discouraged to step beyond the uncertainty. As my uncertainty breeds Hellraiser's tenacity to rise, shine, and energize my enterprising wizardry. And as I'm awakened and aware, people are the assets of the world with acumen, audacity, abilities, and agility to enjoy their life their way. People are the energy of this world. And the world will never move forward without people. As I awaken to my moneyed up accomplishments, a streaming stunning success, seamlessly connecting my enterprising ideas, actions, and evolutions and energizes the world's health, wealth, and success and fun of the world, coloring the world with sovereign liberation. As I now understand and admit, the world turns on people's intuitive celebrations, letting fly visionary frequencies of artistic acumen soaring through the universe opens the world to health, wealth, and success for all to enjoy. And I want to thank everybody for being here. I'll be here tomorrow night with the reason innovation rises you out of transformation. And thank you and good night.